All right, you guys, so tonight's homework should be fairly short and sweet. There is a little bit to write, but overall it should be good. Tonight's homework is on how to edit and revise. At the end of this presentation, you'll know some of the basic editing and revising that you'll need to do for an essay. Let's get started. One of the biggest things that I wanted to point out and talk to you guys about was that, and this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, so one of the biggest things is just for you to remember that you need to edit your entire essay from start to finish. And remember that your teacher is not your editor. You need to find those little mistakes because I'm looking for much bigger things. I'm looking more at the things that revision might catch, the content and the writing of your actual essay, and I don't want to get bogged down with looking at all of your spelling errors or capitalization errors. That's not what I'm looking for. That might be something that happened when your teachers graded your essays when you were younger, but now we're looking at more sophisticated writing pieces, and I am not your editor, so you got to get that stuff done. It's really, really important. All right, let's dive in. So, difference between editing and revising. Well, editing, for the most part, looks at grammar, it looks at a little bit of spelling errors and little mistakes, whereas revising is looking at sentence structure, organization of the essay, and revising really forces you to rewrite whole sentences, maybe even more, like relocating paragraphs, shifting them around, definitely more in-depth fixing of your writing, whereas the editing is small little, piddly little things, right? So here's a little checklist. I do want you to write down most of these things. I've kind of gone through and kind of summarized them as best as I could, but this is a good checklist to keep in mind and to refer back to later when we're finished with our rough draft and we're starting to work on editing. So, editing, looking for that your sentences begin with capital letters, that they have correct ending punctuation, and that sentences are complete. Paragraphs need to be indented. First of all, you should have paragraphs. Second of all, are they indented? Is your spelling correct? Have you looked for any unnecessary words, phrases, or sentences that need to be eliminated? Like sometimes if we get sidetracked, we type the same word twice, and most of the time spelling and grammar checks and stuff have a hard time finding those things. So just that's really important where editing is concerned, that you're looking for that stuff. Also, make sure that your verb tenses are correct. So, you never would say, I went to the store in 15 minutes. Instead, you're looking at, I am going to the store. So be paranoid about verb tense. Now, this is kind of in between editing and revising, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but can you clearly identify that you have an intro and that your main idea of the story is listed in that intro? Can you clearly identify where your conclusion paragraph is, and does it restate the main idea and support you use throughout the paper? And then do you have a body paragraph that has 3 or more main ideas that are clear with supporting details? You should be able to really quickly be able to see that basic organization. Now, if these things aren't there or you need to fix them, then you're moving into revision. Right? If you can't find these things or they aren't clearly identified, then you're moving into revision to fix those errors. All right, so what's a revision checklist look like? Well, you should be asking yourself, is my paper clear and focused? Will my readers understand what I'm saying? If the answer to that is, if it's no, clearly you got to fix it. But if you're kind of shaking your hand so I might need to go back and then fix it. That's revision. Is your opening strong? Does it capture the reader's attention? Are your main ideas supported with details? Does your conclusion contain a restatement of the topic? If those things aren't there, like I said, you're going to dive in and fix them, and that is revision. Is all my information needed? Are there sentences or paragraphs that you can possibly cut out? I know in the past you might have had this feeling that more is better, and that's not always the case. In fact, some writers are really good writers because they can be short and concise. So do you need all of that information? Are there places where you can expand or explain your ideas better? Like after looking at your topic sentence and then your supporting details, do you maybe need some more explanation? And then finally, are all your paragraphs unified? Do they flow from one to the next? Did you use transitions? Those are all really important pieces. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is a process called paragraph analysis. And we'll do this in class. I'll kind of talk a little bit more about it. But basically, it is a strategy where you look at one paragraph of your essay, and you go sentence by sentence. It's really helping you to focus on sentence fluency because it's, something like how many sentences do you have in that paragraph? First of all, that should tell you if you've got enough sentences for that paragraph, and then, or if you've got too many, right? So, I mean, if you're looking at the paragraph and you see that you only actually have 3 sentences, that you might need to add some more detail. But if you look at it and you see you have 15 sentences, that might be too much. Maybe you have 2 topics that you're working on right there. So each different thing that we do in this paragraph analysis, even though you're looking only at one paragraph, can really give you some in-depth information. So it really helps you understand the meaning of revision because it's asking you to go sentence by sentence and really analyze what you've written. And then I do only require that you do 1 paragraph, but it would be great for all paragraphs. And some people really enjoy this strategy and will use it for their entire essay.